Hello, sorry about the setup, and today it's a bit more of a kind of niche revision video because not as many people do drama, but I wanted to share with you how to do the drama written exam because I thought I only do these exams once, so I'll only know what to say to help other people out once. So if it helps you out, then I may as well try and make it for you anyway, because lots of people pick drama to do it as a kind of practical subject, and then there's the written part to it. So for section A, I'm not actually doing much revision for it because it's just reciting the definitions and it's just multiple choice. And if you've done the theatre before and you know them, then that's good. But if not, you could spend about 10 minutes. Don't spend too long on it if you don't really know it, because it's only 4 marks. But if you spend 10 minutes, like the night before, maybe even just reading through your notes you've got, or like the stage positions and roles within the theatre, then that's enough because there's not that much to learn. And then section B of the exam is the play that you've learnt, and for the 4-mark question it's about design. So for this you need to kind of include the key terms from whatever design they're asking you to do. So if it's set design, talk about the cyclorama or something, which is like the massive sheet at the back, and make sure you use keywords, and make sure you also cover like the entire stage or the entire costume, have an entire outfit. Don't just half do it, and include a lot of detail and reference to the context of your play. And then for the 8-mark question, include a introduction about your interpretation of the character and just the context of where this is within the play, and then you can link to that when you're talking about the vocal and physical skills, and try and talk about as many as you can and use as many of the keywords as possible, and also include detail. For revising this section, you kind of need to learn the play and how each of the characters develop, because it's about the characters. So unlike English, you don't need to really talk about the setting, it's just kind of the characters. And in the 12-mark question, it's the same as before. You have a few more paragraphs, maybe have about 3 or 4 paragraphs, and then an introduction explaining your interpretation. And it's quite good at the start to kind of set the scene, so describe the set that you'd have and which position you have. And a lot of people as well neglect the interaction part, so you can still talk about vocal and physical skills in this, even though it's a question about space. You can talk about that if it's part of the interaction part, just to add more detail to it. And for the 20-mark question, you need to link to other parts of the play, and you need to be specific and detailed in your link at the end. So you do a line, and then how you'd, well, you have your introduction, then you have a line, and try and cover as many of the lines as possible and all throughout the extract. And you have the line, and then you say your vocal, physical and space skills you'd use and what effect you'd have, and then you reference it to how it would make a different part in the play more poignant. So you could say that like you'd use a kind tone towards Mrs. Johnstone to emphasise their friendship, which would contrast the scene where Mrs. Lyons is angry at Mrs. Johnstone, which makes that part more poignant as it's a bigger difference from how she reacted to Mrs. Johnstone in this scene. So if you link it to the other part of the play and how it makes the play more effective as a whole. And then it's the 32-mark question, and loads of people hate the 32-mark question, so it's just something we all have to do, and we all have to do it together. And I find it quite difficult really to write everything, but what you need to do is have like a few key moments that you can reference, and I have 3 and our teacher's given us them. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit. I have 3, and you learn the kind of techniques that they've used. So for the 32-mark question, you need to have some key scenes that you can talk about, and you need to do a description of, well, first you need to do an introduction explaining like where you went to see it, what it was, who directed it, and then you need to have 3 to 6 paragraphs on different key moments and how they link to the question's focus. So it might be like to create tension or to show subtext, and you can include a description for like the plot and the kind of techniques that you use, and then analyze how they create the certain effect mentioned in the question. And also, when you have that, then you can analyze how these techniques relate to the question, so how it creates subtext, and you don't have to just relate it to a certain character. So like if it's like likable characters, how they create likable characters. Sorry to change the example question so suddenly, but what you can do is like explain how through another character's reaction one character is shown to be likable, because if you think a bit about all the characters instead of just one, then you have more of a kind of variety. And then you can evaluate it, and for evaluation we have to do 4 parts to it. How effective the skill was, so you could include like how you think it could be more effective, or you could just say it was effective in showing like a certain emotion or something. And how it impacts the audience, so you could say that like her sad facial expression with her eyebrows furrowed and her eyes looking down made the audience empathise with her. And then you can have how it impacted the perception of the character's journey and the play as a whole, so you can link it to other parts and say this made this part more poignant because it contrasts this part. Like in the 20-mark question, although you don't need to include context for the 32-mark question. So good luck in that. It is quite difficult, and I think you just need to practice it really, because lots of people in my class are a bit concerned about it, but all you need to do is really practice, because then you improve. So do your homework, work hard, and then it will pay off, as long as you, because what I like to do is I like to write concise notes on how to answer each of the questions, since it's quite a lot of things you need to include in each question, and I can read through it before the exam and read through a few techniques and then go in there and write about them. So good luck, thank you for watching, bye!